Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a while. So much has happened. I can't even remember what my last vlog was. Oh, was it the ski? It might have been the ski hill. It might have been the ski hill. I think it was the ski hill incident. I was looking at my videos and I mentioned before that I'm reaching my anniversary of my very first video, but that was actually 10 months ago. So I filmed a video where I was actually bald. This was the very first video that I technically posted, but I have it unlisted now because I I wasn't confident enough to post it. But that was back in April. That was last year, April. So I already technically passed my anniversary, but my official anniversary, not so much. 2 more months until I do that. I'm pretty excited. I'm pretty happy with what I've done. And I actually saw this YouTube video today. Well, I just saw the thumbnail and I looked at the video just a little bit, but to me it's kind of stupid. It was titled something like people should learn that people should not put things publicly. Something along those lines. And it got like more than 1 million views, maybe 2 million views. And the guy was going on and saying there are consequences to putting out public information, like basically vlogging, making your diary online. Anybody who wants to see it can see it. And there's also something that he said where I somewhat related to. He said, there are some people that say, oh, I don't want this person to see this video. Well, if you don't want this person to see this video, maybe you shouldn't put it public. Maybe you shouldn't post it at all. I understand what he's saying, but there's something that you also have to, like, you have to realize the bigger picture. Who cares? Honestly, who cares? You could say, well, they could dox me, but in reality, you can get doxxed no matter what. It's so, if somebody has the skills, they'll find a way. There's almost no way to hide publicly in this era of digital, this, what's the word? Digital revolution? Sure. Everyone's on their phones. Everyone has Instagram. Everyone has some sort of social media. And even if you don't have social media, you have some way of connecting, like a phone number. And if you don't have a phone number, no, you do have a phone number. Everyone that I know has a phone number. Anyways, I'm getting besides the point. The whole idea is that this guy doesn't want you to post anything online, but some people just want it. Specifically for me, I want to share what I've learned. I want to share my experience, and I want to make somebody's day by just saying what has happened to me, and maybe even make people feel better with what unfortunate events have happened to me or what's going through my mind, with other people being able to relate with me. Basically just fostering a healthy community, making the world a better place. And I know this doesn't seem like such a strong way of making the world a better place, but I believe it does impact people at least a little bit. I believe it helps, and I don't think there is any damage to other people that this project has. If anything, it would be damaging to myself, where somebody, as I said, somebody could dox me or reveal personal information where it's like, oh, in that one video you said this, and now I'm not going to hire you. Like, okay, oops. But at that point, it's not even oops. It's like, that's who I am. And if you don't, this is going to sound so wishy-washy. If you don't accept who I am, then what's the point? But seriously, if you don't accept my ideas, if you can't at least tolerate my ideas, then I don't think we should even be together. In a not in like a romantic sense, just like in a general relation, just being with someone. I don't think I should interact with you. That might be a better way to put it. Okay, that was just a little thing that I had on my mind. 5 minutes, we're making good time. This is, I'm happy with this. Okay, so I wanted to talk about approaching FOMO. Oh no, I had quite a few notes, and I decided to talk about this one because this was most relevant today. Approaching FOMO. Basically, what I mean by this is you feel this fear of missing out when you don't approach someone, or you feel this fear of missing out for approaching girls. And like, this is so difficult because at least I struggle with this a lot, because there are so many beautiful girls that I see on a regular basis that it's so hard for me not to think I should approach. And this is seeded originally with a regret where there was this girl that I liked, and I had a feeling she liked me. At this point, I realized that she liked me, but I wasn't too confident. I wasn't too sure. And even if I did kind of know, there was part of me that was like, oh, logistically, this wouldn't make sense because she lives too far away, and I would have to ask my dad to drive me over, and then he'd have to pick me up afterwards. Just, it's not logical. It's not rational. So I won't do it. I won't ask her out. But later on, I realized this is actually a regret that I have. And I wish I did ask her out. And I don't care about the logistics now. I would have figured them out. And you can even have a long distance relationship. I really didn't want to have a long distance relationship. I still don't want to have a long distance relationship, but there are ways around it where you could call. That's a long distance relationship, but you could stay after school and study together. Or like there's so many scenarios where it's like it doesn't necessarily mean what you think it means logistically. There are ways around it. And the other thing too is maybe you're just one of those couples that just doesn't need to hang out all the time. But when you do hang out, it's really special. I say one of those couples, but I think all couples want to spend time with each other in person. It's just you rationalize it more. Like people don't. I don't know. This is such a mentality in my mind. It's hard to. I think it's hard for other people to relate with what I'm really saying, unless you've got that computer science mental image. That same brain as me. The optimization, just the logic. Where am I going with this? So, right. FOMO. Basically, yeah. To me, that's why I have my fear of missing out for approaching. My FOMO for my approaching FOMO. That's where it comes from. And now, every time I don't approach a girl, and I read this in the book, The Game, too. The game where Neil Strauss becomes a pickup artist, becomes the world's greatest pickup artist. And he experiences a similar phenomenon to me, where he feels this FOMO. He feels inadequate if he didn't approach the girl way over on the other side of the bar and get her number. Yeah, so something absurd where it was like he was consistently getting, at this point, he was consistently getting results. He was getting numbers at bars so often. But if this random day in this coffee shop he found a girl beautiful, he needed to. It wasn't even about he wanted to, it was he had to, because his past reputation required that of him. But this is the FOMO that you're getting on. And you can see this is such an extreme example. But your examples, the examples that you think of, I mean, if you're dealing with approaching FOMO, the examples that you think of are probably just as extreme. You don't realize it. They're probably extreme to other people. And I'll give the example that I had today. So today I was at the gym with my friend, and there was this, we were doing preacher curls, and there was this girl directly in front of us. And so as soon as I sat to do the preacher curls, he mentions, hey, there's this girl exactly in front of you. And I'm like, yes, I know what you're gonna say. And like, yeah, like what I mean to say by this is I immediately noticed her. Like she was very attractive. And my friend noticed her as well. So she was incredibly attractive objectively. And at first I was just doing my set. I did my exercises, and then I realized, like, wow, I actually really want to approach, like, wouldn't it be great if she became my girlfriend somehow? Well, okay, what's the first step to that? Well, I'll just approach her. But I'm kind of holding myself back now, where it's like, do I really just want to approach every girl that I find attractive? And it gets, not only does it get exhausting, I wouldn't care too much about exhaustion. It's just, you end up poisoning the well, first off, where other girls realize that you're approaching other girls, and that just makes you seem more of like a chaser, chasing women, rather than actually just attracting women. And chasing women could lead to you being labeled as creepy. So I definitely don't want that. But there's also, no, I think that's kind of the two reasons into one, where you don't want to be creepy. You don't want to annoy her, bother her. Yeah, I guess the other reason that I was going to say, but it is still creepy, still labeled as creepy, is just pester her in the gym. She's just doing her workout, and I don't want her to be uncomfortable in the gym just because I approached her. And then I didn't, like, when I was doing the bicep curls, I wasn't seriously considering approaching her. I was just like, wow, yeah, she's attractive. And then as I kept on doing my sets, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I could. Maybe. And then I really just brushed it off. I didn't think much about it. Because the way I tell if I'm actually going to approach her, or if I actually should approach her, is if I start planning something out. Like, how am I going to talk with her? And what conversation am I going to have? And just like, if I get this far, I will also like to think of a backup conversation in case the first conversation just completely dies. And how do I leave? What do I say last? What am I getting at the end of the conversation? Like, I mean, am I getting a phone number or Instagram at the end of the conversation? And I realize now, you don't want to get either. You actually just want to leave it to fate. to see her again. If you see her again, then it's a stronger, she knows you, she knows you're not creepy, and she knows a little bit more about you, so she's more willing to go on a date. But that's still the second time you've met her, so it's still not quite appropriate to ask for a date. And then third time you could ask for a date, and that's when she'll reject you. That's when, but you'll have a much higher chance of success. And I want to try that. I haven't tried that 3 times thing, where I've talked with a girl 3 times and then I've asked her out. But I think that would work well. And the other thing too is I'm running into that issue of poisoning the well at the gym, where at least I believe, because I've approached a few girls at the gym and they go somewhat regularly. Actually, not really. Yeah, not really. Yeah, not really. I could, so I, it, but you never know if the girl is at the gym. Like, it could be you just as soon as you approach this new girl, the old girl just walks into the gym and it's like, oh, well, screw you. My point though, what is my point? Right. Oh yeah. I guess I'll continue on with the story. And then I ended up seeing a friend that I would say I'm relatively close with. And so I started talking with him, and then I ran into someone from Waterloo, from Res. It was, and I'm at Carleton, so to me that's crazy. That's a 6-hour drive between the two campuses. So the fact that I see someone from Waterloo is ridiculous, but it's really cool. And I said, yeah, I said hi, and we talked for a little bit, and then we split up, and it's me and my friend Thomas, and we're just working out still. And then finally we finish, and I see the girl that's really attractive on our way out. So on the path to our way out. So I'm considering, as we're walking away, I'm considering, okay, let's maybe do another set, one last set. Or how am I going to approach this girl? And then I realized, like, you know what? This is so stupid. You don't need to approach this girl. You just, you don't need to. And you're not missing out. Like, sure, you could approach and just say hi, but it's unnatural. You should leave it to being natural, where you're naturally next to her, and then you see she's doing a really funky exercise, and you say, hey, what exercise is that called? Just don't force it. Forcing it, the girl will be able to tell. And I mean, everyone's able to tell, and it's just not attractive. It gets more on the creepy chasing girls side. So with this in mind, this was this was today, but a while ago I decided that I shouldn't really approach girls. If a girl is interested, that's not to say if a girl is interested in me, I won't reciprocate, but I shouldn't be the first to be intentional about dating. That's not exactly what I mean. I shouldn't be so antsy to immediately go on a date with a girl. That's more what I mean. So I asked ChatGPT, as the computer science mind does. And honestly, ChatGPT is pretty nice with this, because It's like a therapist, honestly. Okay, so I've been reading news articles about ChatGPT too, and a lot of Gen Z and I think even millennials are using ChatGPT as therapists and life coaches, life advice for their life advice. And I didn't think that was true for me, and now I realize, well, actually, it kind of is. But other life advice, not really. Like career, I kind of know what I'm doing and I know what I like. I don't really need more guidance than that. Spiritually, I don't think I need more guidance than that. I know what I need to do. But relationships or looking for a relationship, it's hard for me to tell what's healthy and what's unhealthy. And having an objective view, where I say ChatGPT is more of an objective view, someone who's not a robot, who's not in a relationship, who doesn't feel love, is able to tell me more about my human instincts and what would be considered healthy, what I should go for. So, as I was saying though, ChatGPT says you don't need to go out of your way scanning every room like a radar. That looks confident from the outside, but it's chasing, not choosing. Instead, let things unfold naturally. If she's near you, if you catch her eye, if a little moment presents itself, that's your window. If she's way across the room and you're inventing reasons to get close, that's probably more of your ego needing a hit than real connection. And that's not just ego needing a hit. That's sometimes that's sometimes not even ego. That's just I want a relationship. Or I feel that need to have a relationship. I have this brief note at the bottom here. This is a little bit unrelated. This is unrelated to the FOMO. I've concluded my FOMO seminar. Have I? Okay, there was another. There's plenty of stories of approaching FOMO that I've had, where I just approach a girl just because, just for the FOMO, and it doesn't result in anything because it's so forced. It just shouldn't. And in the end, I don't regret not doing it, but at the same time, I don't regret doing it. So, but I wouldn't. Maybe I would have regretted if I didn't do it. Because there's sometimes where a girl shows, you think she shows interest, like she looks at you for a prolonged period of time, or she keeps on glancing at you, and then you're like, oh, maybe she's interested. So in that case, it's okay to shoot your shot. I realized that this vlog could actually be my accountability partner. I've been looking for an accountability partner for my projects, my music, and my machine learning. I've been taking this Google course on machine learning, but I technically haven't even started. I'm still on the prereqs of learning all the things that you need to know before learning machine learning. And I want to do better on hitting not really my goals, but staying on track. I don't really need full on goals, but I just want to be more productive instead of scrolling or just being on YouTube or just laying in bed and scrolling. Interestingly, I don't scroll any social media. I just scroll the news, or I just go on YouTube on my phone. Yeah. While I'm in bed, I scroll YouTube, and then finally I find a video, and then I just stay on that video. I hate that. I hate that so much. So now I have my vlog accountability. Maybe I'll end up making more accountability videos. I might even title them differently, just to keep myself on track. Instead of having, I'll finish this up really briefly. I encourage you, as well as myself, I've encouraged myself to find someone who's like-minded in terms of drive, of wanting to pursue something, of having a goal. so we can both, and it doesn't even have to be the same goals, but just at least being productive. And both of us will pursue these goals and we'll check in, we'll say every week, and we'll talk about what went wrong, what we did wrong with our goals, how we fell short, but also what we expect to do next week and what we did hit, what we were proud of. And hopefully that'll only take, hopefully, I don't really care how long it takes, but I believe it would take around 10 minutes for both of us to get our ideas out, 5 minutes each. It's just really briefly talk about goals and just the idea of setting goals, of saying, this is my accountability partner. I have to prove to him that I'm going to follow through with this. That helps a lot with setting these goals. That's my talk.